Hello guys, I hope you all are doing good. I am Vaishali Kikan and we are discussing the EMFT. Today in this video, we are going to talk about the energy consideration for a system of point charges. We will be having n point charges and for the system, I will be finding out the output energy. Plus, after that, we will be talking about the self energy. So this video is going to be really interesting and informative one. And I hope you all will be watching it with your utmost attention and you will be fully dedicated, and plus keep maintaining your notes. I will be giving you my notes, but don't rely upon that, because when you write you become more aware about the concepts, right? And you tend to learn and remember them. So this is how you can remember this concept as well. So start making your notes from this video itself and let's start our discussion for the energy consideration. Now, when we have a system of point charges and we have to find out energy for the system of point charges, how we calculate that, right? We can calculate that with the help of the potential, with the help of the work done, right? So if I have some charges Q1, Q2, Q3 at the location R1, R2 and R3, now I have considered that I have brought these charges Q1, Q2, Q3 to their respective position from the infinity, right? So let's suppose this is the space that I have, and from infinity, first of all, I will be moving the Q1, right, at the location R1. Then I will be taking Q2 from the infinity at the location R2 and so on. So this is how we are moving the point charges. We are placing them at the specific location, right? So the charges are brought from the infinite distance one by one. Now the bringing of the charge Q1 will not be requiring any work, because initially we were not having any charge over here, only the Q1 was brought from the infinity. So because no electric field to oppose the movement was there over there, no charge was there, and because there was no charge, there was no electric field, no opposition was there. So I will be considering when I brought Q1, I will not be having any work done. Now we have the V related to the R1. So what would be the potential related to R1? When I have the charge 1 which is moving from infinity to Q1, it will be having some potential, right? So potential is represented by the formula 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 upon R1 minus R2. Now when I take the second charge, when I move the second charge from the infinity, we will be having the charge 1 already there, and it is having some field, and this field is going to oppose the charge 2, and this is how we will be having the work done by bringing the charge 2. So the work done at the R2, which is the work done in bringing the charge 2 from infinity to the given point, is represented as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 upon mod of R1 minus R2, right? So this is a magnitude, right? So magnitude of R1 minus R2. So this is representing the energy of two charge system. Now we have n point charge system, and now we are considering we are moving one more charge. So when we have the inclusion of the third charge, energy can be represented as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 upon R1 minus R2 vector magnitude, plus 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 upon magnitude R1 minus R3 vector, plus Q2 Q3 upon magnitude R2 minus R3 vector. So this is how for the 3-point system or 3-charge system I can find out the resultant energy. I can rearrange this equation and I can represent it as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 upon 2 Q2 upon R1 minus R2 magnitude, plus Q3 upon R1 minus R3 magnitude, plus 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 upon 2 Q1 upon magnitude R2 minus R1 magnitude, plus Q3 upon R2 minus R3 magnitude. So now you can solve this equation, and when you solve this, it will be becoming equal to this equation only, right? So I just have rearranged this equation and I have represented this equation like this. Why I did so? So that I will be having the symmetric representation, right? For n point I want the symmetric representation so that I can derive a general formula from it, right? Now I am going to derive the general formula. So now the generalized electric field for the large number of point charges can be represented as 1 upon 8 pi epsilon naught here we will be having Q1 summation from J to L Qi upon R1 minus Rj, right? Then we will be having plus 1 upon 8 pi epsilon naught Q2 summation from J to L Qi upon R2 minus Rj, right? And so on we will be having till Qn, right? So this is how I can represent the energy of n point charge, right? So from the generalized formula only, because here we have Q1 upon 8 pi epsilon naught, right? Here we have Q2 upon R1 minus R2, Q3 upon R1 minus R3. So we are subtracting from R1, R2, R3 and so on, right? Similarly, here we will be having Q2 upon 8 pi epsilon naught. I will be subtracting from R2, R1, R3 and so on, right? So this is how I can get the generalized formula, and I can also represent this formula as E is equal to 1 upon 8 pi epsilon naught summation over I, summation over J, Qi, Qj upon magnitude of Ri minus Rj, right? So this is how we can get the generalized formula, and here I will not consider I is equal to j. When I consider I is equal to j, the denominator will be 0. That is not there, right? And every time I was subtracting a different R from the R1, right? So here we will not be having I is equal to j, and this is the energy of the mutual interaction. Here I have not considered the self energy, right? So we have only considered the energy due to the interaction of two charges. So potential at Ri due to the all of the other charges can be derived from this, and it can be written as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught summation j to L Qi upon Ri minus Rj. So this is the generalized formula of the potential. Like we can all understand this potential, because potential is a scalar quantity. We can use the simple summation to find out the potential. So now energy can be represented in the terms of potential also. So this term I can take over here, and I can represent the energy as 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught summation j to L Qi upon Ri minus Rj. So this term, right, I will not consider Qi, rest of the term is there, right? And 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught is also there, right? So now I will be left out here with 1 by 2 and summation over I. What was left? Qi only. So Qi psi I. So where psi I was the potential, so now I can represent the energy with the help of potential. So this is a very simple formula that we all can remember. Energy will be equal to half summation over I Qi psi I, right? So this was the energy when we have the point charge distribution, right? Now we can have the continuous charge distribution as well. In the practical scenario, mostly we will be having the continuous charge distribution and only. So energy can be represented as 1 by 2 integration rho r phi r dv. So now here we have the rho r, which is the charge distribution over the given volume. So volume charge distribution is the rho r, and we will be having phi r, which is the potential which is changing across R as well. So for the continuous charge distribution, I can represent the energy with the help of this formula, right? The continuous charge distribution is more practical. So E can be represented as 1 by 2 rho r phi r dv, right? So now according to the Gauss's law, what is rho? Rho is epsilon naught del dot E. We all remember the Gauss's law. According to the Gauss's law, del dot E is equal to rho upon epsilon naught, right? I can take epsilon naught this side and I can find out rho. So rho can be represented as epsilon naught del dot E. Now we will put the value of rho r over here. So it will be half epsilon naught, because epsilon naught was constant. We can pull it out of the integration. We will be having integration del dot E phi r dv. So energy can be represented as half epsilon naught integration del dot E phi r dv, right? So this is the formula for the energy, and now here we know we have del dot E into phi r dv. So now I can use my identities of del and then I can expand it. So how I can represent it? I can represent it as half epsilon naught del dot phi into E dv, right, minus half epsilon naught E dot del phi. This is the property of the divergence, right? So I hope you remember this property. So now here you can see this is the divergence theorem, right? According to the divergence theorem, we can convert the surface integral into the volume integral with the help of del dot, right? So here we have del dot and volume integral. So this is the inverse of the divergence theorem. I can convert this into the surface integration. So I can remove this del dot and I can represent it as ds. So half epsilon naught integration over the surface phi e ds. This is how I can represent this. But the phi at the boundary of the volume will be 0. So this phi at the boundary, because here I am talking about the surface only, we have converted the volume integral into the surface integral with the help of the divergence theorem, and the phi will be 0 at the boundary, right? So now when this phi is 0, this overall term will become 0 and I am left out with half epsilon naught E dot del phi dV, and now I know E is equal to minus del phi. So now I can represent this del phi as E and I will be left out with half epsilon naught E square. So this is the final energy. E would be half epsilon naught integration of E square over the volume dV. So energy per unit volume, if I talk about the per unit volume, so energy would be half epsilon naught E square. So I hope you understood how we computed the energy for the continuous charge distribution as well as the energy per unit volume. Now coming to the self energy. What is the self energy? So if I consider the energy, I can represent the energy as the sum of energy of all of the components, right? So now I can represent the E square, because here in the energy term I was having the E square. So now I can represent the electric field as a summation of the electric field of the given charges, right? But when I have the E square, so I have to represent it as a summation of the charges over the different charges as well. So electric field due to the combination of charges and electric field due to the self charge. So I can represent summation I summation j ei ej as the E square will be represented as summation EI square plus summation IJ EI EJ. So now what I have done, I have taken all of the electric field where I is equal to J. So when I is equal to J, it is represented by this. So here I is equal to J, and for this term I is not equal to J. So this is the electric field due to some different charges. This is the electric field for the same charge, and for the same charge also I will be having energy, and for the different charges also I will be having energy. So now how I can represent the overall energy? It can be represented as half epsilon naught E square dV, right? So now this is the total energy, and for the given I can represent half epsilon naught summation over I EI square dV. And when I am talking about the given charge only, so the energy due to the given charge is represented as the self energy. The energy due to the electric field of the same charge is known as the self energy. The energy due to the interaction of the two charges would be half epsilon naught summation over I summation over j EI dot EJ dV, right? So E can be represented as, this is my ES, I can take ES this side, this was my total energy. E minus ES can be represented as half epsilon naught summation over I summation over j EI EJ dV. Now we can see over here the work done to pack the charge in the small volume would be represented like this. If I have the point charge, the work done to pack the point charges in a very small volume would be very high, right? If I want to make the charge at a very small point, I would be requiring the infinite work done, right? So now if I have the infinite work done, can I do that? No, I cannot do that. And because of this reason, I cannot have a point charge. Point charge is just a theoretical thing, right? We can never have practically the point charge. Now, summation over j, Ej is represented as minus del phi I. I already gave you this relation between the electric field and the potential. We all know this relation. So now here E minus Es can be represented as half epsilon naught summation over I integration over Ei del phi I, right? So I have represented summation over Ej as del phi I and we have integration over dV, right? So E minus Es can be represented as half epsilon naught summation over I. Now we have del dot, because here we are using the identity of the divergence, right? So after using the identity of the divergence, we will be having del dot phi I Ei, right? Again we will be having here the volume integration. Again we will be using the inverse of the divergence theorem. Inverse of the divergence theorem states that this volume integration can be converted into the surface integration, and when we convert this into the surface integration, the phi I over the surface is 0, the potential over the surface is 0, so this term will be 0 and I will be left out with minus phi I del dot Ei dV. So E minus Es can be represented as half epsilon naught summation over I phi I Qi Ri upon epsilon naught del R minus Ri dV. So this is how I can represent it as E minus Es as, so E minus Es will be represented as half summation of phi I Qi. So this is the relation between the self energy and the total energy. I hope you understood each and everything that I have discussed in this video. If you have any doubt, you can put the doubt in the comment and I will be trying to resolve your doubt as soon as possible. I hope you like this session. If you like it, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and also give me your feedback. Thank you so much.